Welcome to the Founderville.vc podcast. This is a podcast where we talk to entrepreneurs and founders and people in the innovation ecosystem, essentially anybody that loves and supports entrepreneurs. Today, I'm super fired up to have some friends of the Founderville.vc podcast, portfolio company of Founderville, the gentleman from Pixlmob, Mr. Matty Fisher, Moses Nickerson. Welcome to the podcast, guys.
Thanks.
Don't
Glad to be
sound
here.
too excited.
This is pretty fired up, wasn't it? Yeah, I mean, I'm pumped. You guys are crushing it. You're a great portfolio company, and the ecosystem is lucky to have you guys. I'm glad y'all are at Flywheel, by the way, too. Just interacting with a lot of other founders. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's been great.
So you guys have been at it just a little bit, a couple of years now, just grinding away. Simple overnight successes, building this great company. I know it hadn't been hard. It hadn't been a whole lot to it. Really.
Piece of cake. Yeah.
Piece of
Really
cake.
easy. What's the phrase? Like 5-year overnight success.
5-year overnight success. Yeah. In many cases, 10 and 15 years. Right.
Yeah.
Well, tell us about Pixlmob, about where you guys are today. I mean, I guess first a little overview about the company for the folks that don't, know Pixlmob, which shame on them because they should. But tell us about Pixlmob and what the company looks like today and what you guys are attacking, because I think it's incredibly exciting and I'm pumped to be a part of it.
Awesome. Well, we're pretty stoked with what we're doing too. So Pixlmob is it's a media platform. We help photography companies find editors and tools all around the world, particularly in the real estate space. Mm. So they might find an editor to turn around a product overnight in one of 27 different manual products that humans still do. And then we've this year launched a series of AI tools that are gaining traction, which we're pretty excited about as well, also in a marketplace sort of model. So that's a little bit about what it is, and then what else would help you? Well, what else do you want us to talk through?
Well, I mean, look, so essentially a two-sided marketplace where you're also incorporating other AI tools to create efficiency inside of this sort of dislocated market where you got photo editors on one side, you have photographers on the other, you got real estate agents over here in many cases, right, that are engaged in some capacity. I mean, how did you guys even come up with this idea? I mean, I know you've got a background in real estate, in training in particular, in education on that side of it. You've got a background in media. I mean, how did y'all meet? How did y'all create this? I remember the early days, the real early days, what this thing looked like. It's evolved a lot. I mean, how are you surprised by the change in which the company's taken in terms of direction and product and things like that?
Yeah, it's been kind of a crazy ride, and because when we started, Moses and I actually went to school together in high school, so we knew each other from way back as teenagers, but mostly had been kind of disconnected as adults. And COVID was kind of the impetus for this whole thing to start. So back in 2020, I was living in New York City, right at the beginning of 2020. And my background is in film production and TV. And I was producing TV commercials pretty heavily, kind of coming out of 2019. And then when COVID hit, I kind of ended up back in Greenville. My family's here. And I was kind of just sitting on my hands, honestly. And the weird thing was, so my grandpa had a listing. I'm going to use words that I use now. At the time, I didn't understand this at all. He had a house that he had flipped. Okay. And he wanted to get it on Zillow. And I was like, I can help you get that online. And so I had a drone and all this stuff from, production that I just had. So I went and I shot this house and got it uploaded on to Zillow for him. And in the process of doing that, I was like, do people get paid to do this? Because it's like a piece of cake. And with a background in media, you're usually going back and forth with customers for weeks about a video you're producing, and it's net 60. You get paid, 5 months after you start this thing. But it's really easy. You just go into the house and you shoot it. Come to find out, there's a whole industry of real estate media professionals that just go and shoot houses, in and out of houses, work with realtors, and they might shoot 3 or 5 houses a day. So I was like, I could do that in the short term, and eventually, once this COVID thing blows over in the next few weeks, I'll get back to New York. But obviously that didn't happen. And within a year, I was within a few months, really about 6 months, I was pretty much trying to get this thing up and going and reach out to the only realtor I knew, which was someone I went to high school with, which was Moses. So we grabbed lunch.
And I was on the other side of the fence.
Yeah.
I had been annoyed for 10 years that he was excited that he could get paid to fly a drone. I'd been annoyed for 10 years that I had to pay people to go fly a drone to get listings online. So, I mean, that was my background.
Yeah,
So I launched one of the, with some partners, launched a Keller Williams franchise in downtown Greenville.
Right.
That we were growing. And then we sold in 2021, which gave me some freedom to focus in on some new and honestly more interesting projects. Because, I mean, I love everything I learned at Keller Williams, but franchising is super hard and difficult in some ways. But in other ways, it's like hard to paint by numbers. That you're literally buying, how do you run this business? Or a lot of what it gets me going is, how do we do something cool and new and systematize something different, which sometimes got me a little in trouble in Keller Williams, but now I think is a pretty good asset for what we do.
Yeah, I think for me, what always impressed me with you guys is, and what we mentioned earlier, is the deep domain expertise. You know that side of the space so well. You know your side of the space so well. You all came together.
Nowadays, Matty even knows what a listing is.
A listing.
Just found out. Yeah.
Zillow listing, right? Yeah. But I mean, you guys were able to find that wedge, and I remember when we first started spending time together, you guys were chipping away at different business models.
Yeah,
right?
I think we had a sledgehammer more than a wedge.
It was boil the ocean. It was boil the ocean. Which listen, man, that fired me up because it was like, this is such a huge opportunity. But at the same time, it was like, hey, if they could focus on one narrow area of it, that's the wedge, and they can build out from there.
Yeah.
Which it seems like that's the direction y'all have taken.
Well, and it was actually it was you guys and name is escaping me. Helped us focus in. We were in the accelerator with Dylan.
Yeah.
Both kind of came at us from different angles of y'all need to zero in on the most defensible, most buildable part of this to start with. What is the fountainhead of it before you get to the other 97 things that y'all want to do tomorrow.
Right.
And that was really helpful. I mean, that was the spring of 23 and it was pretty catalytic to us really drilling down into, okay, we're going to build this particular product between photographers and editors because we think it's defensible and it's productizable. We can actually do this.
And it proved to work. I mean, I'll bet I would imagine looking back, what was your mindset in okay, we got to narrow the focus? Was it this isn't exciting, or because it turned out to be arguably the best move y'all have made strategically over the last, getting this thing going the last couple of years? I mean, it was narrow the focus, do this one thing and build. But at the time, you wanted to boil the ocean.
I think to quote Matty, it was something like, man, Shay is a jerk. He doesn't want us to have any kind of vision. But if we want his money, then we're going to have to just drill this thing down.
Good.
That's exactly what I said. Yeah.
I believe it.
I have it written down. It's very motivational for me. Yeah.
We came in with a check very shortly thereafter. I think we invested in August of 2023.
Yep.
And at the time, it was zero, right? I mean, revenue was you were just launching, and Seventh had
pretty
revenue,
close, yeah.
right? But it was just launching, and I mean, I remember I was driving you crazy. Let me see that scoreboard or whatever that tool, the Airtable. Give me access to the Airtable.
Yeah, at the very beginning, it was an Airtable where we had some key metrics running.
But I was as pumped as anybody, just watching the month over month, and it was like, this is obvious there's something here. So writing that first $300,000 check, I had no reservations whatsoever. I don't think Scott had any reservations whatsoever. It's like, these guys are onto something and they understand the space, and let's go. They just need capital. Yeah,
it was interesting because by the time we got to launching Pixlmob, which is our product, we were still operating as North 7th, which is this media company that we had launched in 2020. So Greenville-based photography company specifically for real estate media. And that took a while of figuring out the business dynamics and our partnership dynamics. And I had experience doing some tech stuff, and I was like, there's scalable things here beyond us just shooting photos. And when we first talked in 22, it was this idea of we could do these vendor management for real estate, transaction management and photos and other things, and we could build this, and it was all under this North 7th umbrella.
Would have been like a sub point of this giant outline of different vendors in the real estate transaction, which is still a huge opportunity.
Absolutely.
That maybe we'll get to in 10 years.
Yeah.
But we had already started down the path of developing what is Pixlmob now. It was a marketplace for finding editors if you were a photographer. And we partnered with Nicer Studios, which is a Greenville-based venture studio. And so what that meant is that they came in and they were investors, and they would, instead of giving us cash, they gave us labor. And so they were designers and developers, and they helped us build the first prototypes. So November 22, we launched that. And that was...
To be clear, they did give us cash. Got to keep this legal for the SEC, but...
There's an exchange that has to happen for that to all work out.
We paid them, they paid us.
you. Yeah, they invested.
Right, exactly. But we actually had a thing, and so is weird. We kept plugging on this. Let's focus. We had this kind of like come to Jesus moment where, particularly a lot of the pressure and advice that we were getting outside was, you guys need to focus. And we're like, all right, we're going all in on North 7th. And Pixlmob's just going to, even though we've made this investment, we literally did the opposite. We went all in just on the wrong thing.
It's true. We went all in on like the transaction management for a few months while Pixlmob just kind of was there.
But the thing is, it kind of just
grew.
caught. Like it was... Because there was a real problem that we were solving for somebody, and we were just facilitating these transactions between editors, which are across the world, all over the world, and photographers who needed them. It was a big pain point, and people just started using it. It didn't need us to do anything, and it just started working. And for 6 months or so, we didn't have any money to put into marketing it, didn't have any money into fixing problems, except to beg Nicer to like, you please just change the text on this page or fix the button or whatever.
Well, you responded to a lot of Facebook posts during that time, I think. And we did whatever scrappy things we could with people we knew. But that's the same time you're talking about when we were kind of drilling in and getting really focused. And I remember showing you those Airtables at that time, and we were almost having conversations of like, I'm not exactly sure how this is even happening, but like for almost 9 months, like 100% growth every month.
It was crazy.
It was tiny. Like the first month was like 50 users.
Yeah, no, it was a beautiful thing though. How did y'all? I mean, at that point, you were both all in on this thing. I mean, what was your state of mind in terms of, we're all in now, we're burning the boat, if you will, but you weren't sure which direction to go. I mean, what did that feel like?
Well, I guess that probably depends on when you're talking about. I mean, in January, we were making the wrong decision to back up. We were still clinging to like, we can do more, we can skip steps. But by May, June, when we were like working on pitch stuff with y'all and the accelerator and things like that, we were finally to a place of like, no, this is it. Like, I can pitch this. This is an understandable idea. It's clear. It's to the point. It has the possibility of scale. It is actually scaling. And then there was a flip that kind of happened April, May of that year where we're like, we were still, I mean, we're still new in the scaling idea. So we were still both like, well, we'll keep a finger over here in this, and we'll put most of our fingers into Pixlmob. That probably took another 2 or 3 months over the summer to figure out, like, no, if we're going to raise and y'all are going to put in a good chunk of cash to let us focus on this, we're going to do that. So in May, June, we hired a manager for North 7th or deputized a manager who was already working there, and really kind of dove in, me into fundraising and him into some great initial product design with Nicer.
Yeah, I think the thing that's always blown me away with you guys is there was, to your point, there was no capital for sales and marketing. I mean, you guys were it. You were building product. I don't even think you were going to trade shows or conferences really at that point. And it just this thing organically just started happening. And editors in Asia were signing up on this platform. And I guess it started locally in Greenville with photographers, and then sort of, I mean, it just took fire.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's funny to think about now. Like, so we did go to a conference. There was an impetus for like this whole thing to launch, but it was
spark.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's this one event called PMRE, Photography and Media for Real Estate. Who knew there was a whole conference for real estate?
How about that?
Yeah. And we had attended before just as photographers, as North 7th owners, and like we go there as attendees. But this particular year, we're going to put this thing out there, and we got the product ready like the day before we're showing up.
And then Google crashed.
That's true. That morning, Google crashed AWS outage, just like we had this week or last week. Anyways, the week before, there was nobody on the platform. I mean, North 7th was on there to like test out does the order form work. And we had like one editor that was the editor we were already using. And so we asked them to create an account, and we're going to just do these orders back and forth on our platform instead of doing it through emails like we were doing before. So those were the only people on there. And I was like, we need editors. So I went on a Facebook group where most people are going to find these editors. And I was like, hey, there's a new thing opening up, and claim your account while you still can. And I did that one time. And we had like 500 submissions within that first week. And like we had more submissions than we could verify.
Do anything with.
And we manually verified each of these editors. They had to go through like an editing test, and it was just kind of this like rush to get people on there, and they're going in and creating their accounts. And the first versions of it looked like Las Vegas lights. Everyone had these flashing GIFs as their logos, and
we didn't have any rules yet.
Yeah,
so
all these emojis in their names and everything.
That's funny.
But
it was pretty funny.
We
had a little debate of like, do we like this?
Yeah.
It was a short debate.
Yeah. No, we don't. We don't like this. Yeah. But yeah, it took very quickly, and then the photographer side, two sides of the market. You have the easy side and the hard side almost always. The weird thing is it was flipped in our case. Usually it's the supply side that's the hard side of the market. In this case, editors know that if they can get a photographer on board, that means consistent, regular U.S. dollars coming in every night. Yeah. And this is what our business has been built on, is that not only like Fiverr, where you just get like, I need a logo design or a business card, and it's a one-off kind of thing, and maybe I'll come back in a month or 6 or 8 months.
Right.
I use this every day, and editors knew that. So like if I get there and get my thing, I can build a business on this, and that's part of why it took. So we're at the stage now, we're doing about 200,000 images a week.
Yep.
And it's been heavily because we've worked with those editors and those photographers. We know their pain points. We've built things specifically for those use cases.
So what's that look like in terms of both sides of the marketplace now? I mean, tens of thousands of photographers across the country. Is this worldwide? On the editor side, I know it's worldwide. What does that look like?
Yeah, they're both strong international footprints. I think, though, I just checked this a little bit ago, 31% of our users are international, 69% are buying in the U.S. market.
Okay.
I think there's over 160 countries represented across both sides, and I think the breakdown is around a little under 100 countries for the editors and a little over 140 for the buyers.
Oh, no kidding. I would have thought it would be flip-flopped.
Me too. Yeah.
Yep.
We've got a pretty wide distribution of the photographers needing the work done. And on the editor side, a heavy concentration towards Vietnam, India, Philippines.
Right, there's some nice pockets in Eastern Europe and like Central America and that sort of thing as well.
So how many countries are there total? I guess we need...
Like in the world?
Yeah. I mean,
there are around 200.
Well, it's a little debatable. It's a kind of a political question for a couple of countries. But somewhere in the 180 range.
180. So we're getting close to covering the planet.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. All right, shifting gears a little bit, let's talk about the easy stuff like raising capital.
Yeah, you made that so easy. About how long did it take after we met, Shay?
It took a while. I readily admit that I tell founders this all the time. We don't move fast. Now, fast is like, what does that mean? I like to spend 6 months with founders to figure out like just the founders and understand. Because it's at that stage, it's not just about the business. Obviously, the business is going to shift and move around so much, just like y'all have seen.
You're proof of that.
Right, you're proof. It's more about how do they think? Is there like a similar strategy in terms of big vision? How do y'all think about an ultimate exit and liquidity? And remember the discussion, what's a win look like for you guys? How does that translate in a win for us and our investors? Like, spend a lot of time on that stuff. And I think, in my experience, a lot of founders that I meet with, they don't recognize that. They don't necessarily recognize the importance of the relationship and getting to know each other, and then making sure there's that good alignment in terms of what we're trying to achieve collectively. I mean, it's y'all's business. Y'all run it. We're innocent bystanders at this point, right? And we'll provide support however we can, whatever that looks like. But once we make the investment, it's y'all's capital to do with what you will. There's that takes a lot of trust.
Yeah.
And the only way to build trust is spend time with each other and get to know each other. But I found lately that I'm having founders kind of show up and throw up and like, hey, can y'all move in 30 days? It's like, I don't think that's practical. I don't think it's ever practical, but certainly in today's environment, the way capital is today, so heavily biased towards West Coast AI, that it's certainly not practical nowadays.
Yeah. I think like our real story, I think we met in August at Spill the Beans, and I had no idea who you were. It was just, I forgot who connected us, but it was just like there's this Shay guy. I'm going to meet him at Spill the Beans, Matty. And then you told me you were raising a fund, and I think you closed on the fund maybe in December.
Yeah, we did a first close in December and final close in February of 2023.
It was August to December, January. That's when you.
Yeah, we were spending a bunch of time together.
We were cool enough for you to bring us home to Scott. We met Scott and we started talking, but we didn't have product market fit at that point. At least not that we could prove, or even that we knew.
No,
like we were focused on the wrong product.
I mean, not even know the term product market fit at that point, to be honest, but
possibly also true.
What y'all had is a vision. You had a vision that you could articulate, and you mapped it out, and it was there. And although at the time we looked at it and was like, this is we don't have the capital to back this, right? But you were able to so clearly articulate it, and there was passion behind it too. And the passion was like, these guys are going to do this. Like, they're going to do it no matter what. They'll get the capital raised. Like, I believe that. Whether we put the capital in or not, I was like, they'll raise the capital. They can sell this idea. Somebody's going to buy into this thing. And I never had a lot of doubt about that. I just felt like you guys are going to scratch and claw and make it happen.
It took 6 months, almost to the day, from those conversations of us getting to know each other, getting annoyed at each other, coming back from getting annoyed at each other, to finally be pitching at the little next conference at that point. And that's when I think you guys were finally like at a place of, that we should do this.
Yeah.
And then that took another 3 months to get it closed.
Yeah. It takes time.
May to August.
I think it was August. Yeah.
So, I mean, full circle of meeting you, starting to think and talk about it, about 6 months to get into any kind of real conversations. We didn't quite have it together yet. Another 4 or 5 months to figure out what we needed to until we were ready to go. And it was a full year.
Yeah. And
the check was hitting the bank, so to speak.
Yep. And a turn down, in the middle there too.
You also broke up with us in December.
But that's not a negative thing. I mean, at the time it doesn't feel good.
No, of course not.
But like the process for raising money is keep building your thing. I think that to me is the lesson that I take away from this whole thing, that whole part of the journey. And we had other smaller investors along that in that time period too that kind of helped us kind of bridge gaps and like push through new milestones. And they were small, $25,000, $50,000 checks. But those were
They were very small.
Yeah, but they were very helpful at the time.
Hugely important.
They were how we survived.
Yeah,
like we raised $500,000 in like friends and family angel type money to get the initial thing out.
Yeah.
And little drips and drabs over.
How did you do
time.
that? I mean, how did you do that? In other words, there's friends and family, but then there were other people on the cap table that aren't necessarily they're not family, I don't think. But I mean, what was
Greenville? Everybody's family.
Everybody's family. We're all related. We're all related in some way.
It's Olive Garden.
We're cousins.
When you're here, your family. Is that what you're
yeah, something like that.
But
when you're on my cap table, your family.
But it was. I mean, how did you do that? I mean, I the reason I ask, and I don't mean to be silly, it's a lot of founders will be like, well, if you're not willing to write a check, Shay, then like, how do I go raise $500,000? And I'm like, you got to go start having a lot of coffee meetings and tell the story exceptionally well.
Yeah, and honestly, like that we had raised a little money prior to breaking up with y'all. But that was catalytic to like, okay, well, we're not going to get a $300,000 or $400,000 check right now, so I need to pound the pavement.
Yeah.
To go find what would help us get through the next 6 months.
Yeah.
And I think at that point, that's kind of how I was thinking about it. It wasn't a huge vision. It was we need to survive to get to see this little bit of traction through. And that mindset actually had to shift, I think, before we were ready to actually raise capital with y'all and stuff like that. But we would be pursuing and doing exactly what you're talking about. I was pulling on every connection I had with anyone who was of a mid to high net worth space, and a few that really surprised me. I went to coffee with a friend who had a really, really good sales year, and we were just having coffee, and he was like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm doing coffee with everyone in Greenville, asking and begging them for money." And he's like, "Well, I happen to have some money. Do you want money? And can you make me more money with my money?" I was like, "Well, this is not an earnings claim, but yes." So, yeah, and it was fun, and it was just sometimes it was
I don't
fun.
remember using that word.
When was the fun part?
Fun in the most euphemistic way you could use that word. There were parts of it that were fun. The wins are fun, but it's a ton of just grinding through meetings of people who have money and know the space, and they're just like, no.
Yeah.
And thankfully, Moses has a tough skin. I mean, it's a lot of, it's a grind. It's a lot of being willing to go into that conversation with no expectations and keep asking, And at the same time, the business has to keep going. We have to keep making traction. That's been a hard learning part too, is like we'd grow, we'd hit certain traction milestones, and is always kind of we were planning to raise this time last year and got pretty far into some serious conversations, but like the bars are constantly moving, particularly now, like it's AI world. This is kind of early days, last fall, as the world was really shifting, as all these AI applications were kind of like coming into play, and a lot of people retreated.
Yeah.
And that kind of happened to us.
For like a year and a half.
Yeah.
Like just everybody was, well, if you're not open AI, you don't get money.
No doubt. I mean, I think that's unfortunately part of the environment we're living in right now, and it's awful for a lot of startups. I mean, you guys have tremendous traction and growth, and it's as hard as ever to go raise capital.
It's still challenging.
Yeah.
Like we have an open round, and I'm meeting with 2 to 3 VCs a day right now.
Yeah.
But it is very different. I mean, we haven't finished this round, so I don't know that I can speak as an authority, but I'm probably going to meet with as many people as I met with over 6 months in 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Or maybe as many as I met within a year. Like right now, like I'm working with Tyler Senecal with the Startup Force.
Yeah.
He's helping me do research on a lot of funds that we can hammer. And the whole motion right now is getting to 100. Like 100 no's, there's going to be one that's a yes.
Yeah.
So we've got like 270 something funds that we've doing investor updates too and things like that for 12 months because we knew this was coming. And then now we're after it. Like I've got other crap to do at Pixlmob other than raise funds.
Sure.
This has got to just be a blip. So this is our 7-8 weeks of pushing as many of those meetings as possible. And if somebody is wanting to do this and you want to tap into your network, that would be my biggest recommendation is don't do it over 18 months like me. Do it over 8 weeks.
But you said something, Moses, that I think is so important, gets overlooked. You've been sending out updates for a year.
Yeah.
I mean, you
Everyone who said no gets an update.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Particularly the ones that say no. And then I put a little middle finger emoji and I make it white at the bottom just for them.
Right. Yeah. See the track. Here's where you could have invested. Here's where we are now. Yeah. See the gap? Yeah. That's what you're paying for. No, but I mean, I'm shocked by how hard it is to get consistent updates out of founders. And I just fundamentally don't understand why they wouldn't do it. I was just trained that way, though. I was taught by my first boss and everyone since. Like I was just trained. You give transparent quarterly updates consistently within the same date range every quarter. And it's going to look and feel the same, and it's not just good news. It's everything.
It's everything.
But y'all have done a great job at that over the last 12 months or 18 months, which has made opening the door to get 100 conversations with VCs a heck of a lot easier. You can't just cold call 100 VCs and have discussions.
Yeah, I have a diligence question from a VC last night that I was writing it out the answer, and then I'm like, he was asking about the real estate market. About because we had a kind of a plateauing of our numbers across the summer, where the year before we had a really steady increase all the way across the summer, all the way until November. And real estate is really naturally cyclical. So his question was basically, well, why did this happen here? And part of the response that I have to send is just your normal, like this is happening. There's new AI players. Like we lost some clients here. Like all your normal kinds of transparency. But then also I wrote a note of like, hey, I've got like 6 investment updates across that time from April to August. Wouldn't have 6. I would have, how many would that be? 4. Yeah. So just 4 where I was actually tracking the macros of the U.S. market and informing investors of what was happening. Yeah. Where you can see my thoughts as it was happening if you'd like. And I'll throw those in the data room if you're interested. So it just becomes a resource.
I think it's hugely important. I think those ongoing updates with real transparency are overlooked and I think just misunderstood by a lot of founders. And that starts at the beginning. In other words, we were getting updates in person because we met a lot at the very early stages. Like we were fortunate to both live right here in Greenville and we were 5 miles apart. But I think outside of that, at that earliest stages, providing updates to potential investors, individuals, angels, funds, whatever, like that it's never too early and it also never ends.
I wish I'd started earlier. You advised me to do it earlier. Like you advised me to start doing that like before we were ever really even talking. Because I was like when we met at Spill the Beans, I was kind of picking your brain of like you'd raised money before. Like how are you doing that? Because I had no idea. Yeah. I was just doing coffee with people and seeing if they had money that they wanted me to burn for them. Those are great coffees. And unfortunately, like a lot of them, like we'd done stuff in the past and they were good. And I think those investments are going to turn out pretty nicely for those folks. Yeah. But I was picking your brain about that. And that was one of the pieces of advice you gave me from the get-go was start writing consistent investment memos, letters, like to your people and anyone else you want to be interested in meeting down the road. And you were even talking about like you start building a Rolodex of Series A because like right now you're working on seed, but eventually like Series A wants to invest in people that they've been following along for 2 years.
Yeah, yeah.
That was part of the ethos too. And it took me a while. And finally I was doing coffee with Tyler. And he was like, and I asked him the same thing, like, what do you see people raising funds succeeding in? And he's like, they're doing this. Yeah. And so we finally, he and I, like he was actually part of the accountability of getting it done was hiring him in a consulting capacity and make sure this happened every month.
It's not easy and it's tedious work and it's got to be done, but I think it's can't be overstated how important it is. There's no doubt.
And it feels really high stakes. Like whenever I want to sit down, there's like the procrastination of like, if I have this number from next week, this will be even more interesting or whatever. And it's hard for me to distill like what are the right things to share. And it takes a fair amount of mental energy, but it's definitely worth it.
That's why it's worth it. I think that's why it's worth it. It's a sanity check for you. It forces you to think through what are the important metrics? What do I want to track? What do I want to share? Because it's not just the metrics you point out now are the metrics that are going to be watched a year from now. Like you have the opportunity. You set the stage. You tell me what's important for me to watch. Obviously, I can look at revenue. But tell me the metrics that are important to you that I need to keep an eye on so that I know, and then we can go back and look at those metrics. I think that's one thing that's a crucial part of raising capital. Where's Pixlmob going, guys? I mean, it's you're 3.5 years in. You've got traction. You've moved through various stages. There's inevitably going to be additional pivots, but I feel like things are really starting to come together with just the way you've built out the platform, the connectivity tissue that's there, the stickiness of many of the clients. Where do you guys want to take this thing?
Yeah, it's been pretty cool. We started as this media editing marketplace, heavy. Even currently, a lot of our business is built around editing. We've added video editing and other things. We started off with like 8 services. We've got 27 now. So like we've expanded just within the editing services. But really what we've identified is that there's an opportunity for a complete real estate media platform, end to end. That's what we see as kind of a bigger vision. And there's 3 pillars: creating, enhancing, and sharing media within the property media industry. And so just this August, we launched a photographer directory that's on the create side, where, we've got multiple thousands of customers or these photographers across the U.S. We want to give them an opportunity to get their business in front of their customers. So we launched the prop media directory, propmedia.com, and those photographers can create listings for their businesses. And so that way people can search them online. Mm-hmm. It's the same problems that editors had, is that like they don't know what to put on their websites. They just put all kinds of random stuff. Every website's different.
Emojis.
Exactly. It's exactly.
That's just me and the investor updates.
But that's even with a template.
Yeah. Like
with the template, they're putting all that kind of stuff. Imagine if you could just make anything and put it on the internet. That's what every individual editor website is. It's no different for photographers too. And they don't put the simple stuff like, where do you work? Like you go to those their websites, you don't know that.
Oh my gosh, I've seen so many realtors
what state
and
are you
photographers.
In?
Yeah, where are you based?
Geo-specific things. Yeah. And you're like, I have no idea where this realtor lives.
But it's literally like 90% of those
no idea where this photographer is.
So there's some simple things that just by giving them an opportunity, they still have a website, they still place their orders like normal, but like just having another backlink and a place for it to be found. Anyways, that's kind of like the starting place. We see that there's a big spread of opportunity on the creation side, and things that could spring into on-location apps for tracking your orders and things like that.
This is a baby, but it's also got some great initial traction. I think we tracked it has coverage for 93% of the United States right now.
Okay.
With businesses that are already on the platform, and we're of course working to push that to 100%. It's a great space if you need to find a photographer anywhere in the United States. But it's just the beginning, and then you want to keep going on share.
Yeah, and just this year we actually got into an accelerator called Reach, which is there's the official
Reach is the accelerator associated with Second Century Ventures, the venture arm of the National Association of Realtors.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to say that. Yeah, anyway, there's so many things we're not allowed to say.
You have to kind of like get it. Yeah, you got the phrase. But yeah, this scale
that was good, Moses. Yeah.
This partnership was really interesting because they invest in an accelerator model with scale-up companies, what they call scale-up. So not like brand new. Existing companies have traction, and they help them scale specifically with the partnerships and relationships that they can help us connect with. So anyways, it created this new obvious gap that in our minds that we saw, just like we saw when Pixlmob was created, that all these photos are being manipulated and used and resold way past the purpose and the initial intention of the photos.
Right.
And so you pay $250 to get these photos shot, and it's a template. A photographer comes out and they know exactly where to stand. They can do it in 30 minutes. But it's meant for the sale of the house, and they have this licensing agreement. But the photographer owns the rights to those photos as the creator. What's happening now in this new world, the internet age, but in the AI age beyond, is those photos have a tremendous lifespan. They're being packaged and resold by the millions in
by
as large
people
data
who
sets.
don't own the copyrights to them.
And also, they are getting resold to these platforms like Zillow, Redfin, Realtor, all the Realtor.com, all these many companies that take these photos. They're redistributing them over and over again. And not all of them have the copyright access to these photos either. So it's kind of like Moses uses this term, the Napster days.
Yeah.
It's kind of like we're in this kind of like weird pirating age of this stuff. But it's not as obvious that like, well, this CD belonged to NSYNC. And so like that's why it's obvious to the consumer that was being pirated. It's not obvious that it was shot by North 7th in Greenville and then it's being redistributed and sold over and over and over again.
Wow.
But
so
we're moving out of the Napster age. I mean, Anthropic settled its lawsuit with authors for $3,000 a book. Like there's price tags being associated with the IP that is going into large language models and large image models. And in the real estate space right now, there's a large lawsuit between CoStar and Zillow over the infringement of about 50,000 images. So this is starting to get into the consciousness and the water of real estate, which is really one of the key reasons we're raising right now is we're break-even profitable, but we see such a huge opportunity in the real estate space to transform an industry with appropriate licensing and distribution that we want to go and capitalize on our momentum.
Do you feel like that's going to be the thing that takes it from where you are today to 20 million in revenues or whatever the number might be?
We think that's a big part of that. We think create and share probably alone can get us to the 20 million target, but the licensing ideas in play are those are the unicorn ideas.
Yeah, big ideas, big numbers potentially. I mean,
that's a huge TAM.
Yeah, I mean the CoStar and Zillow lawsuit is for over $1 billion for these 50,000 photos.
0.039% of the imagery that would flow through Zillow.
In a year, only a year.
1 year.
So, I mean, it's the largest copyright lawsuit in history, and it's over real estate photos.
Yeah.
We see it as a huge opportunity. There's this and the thing is, it's not that we need to have it like paywalled and gated. There's an opportunity that everyone along the way has an opportunity to make money. And I think that's why it's a really powerful next step.
Yeah.
The photographers have an opportunity for their things to work, to live on, and to earn off of it. But so do all of the other people that are a part of that equation.
So do the syndicators and the portals and maybe even the realtors. Yeah. Like everybody's contributing to this product that is a listing that has a lot of value.
Yeah.
And if it's done well, the actual IP creators and the people who contribute to that dissemination of that product and the sub-licenses of new derivative works from it, all that stuff, that's technologically possible to track.
You can track it now.
And fairly compensate.
Yeah.
And so like Zillow's, one of their initial defenses to this lawsuit is, we didn't know. It's a bunch of property managers. They uploaded it. And we're like, well, maybe you should because you could, and we're going to build what would allow that to happen.
Yeah, why would you not is the question.
And there's another part of it too. It's really interesting today. There's a Wired article that came out, and it was basically about AI slop in real estate media. And it was awesome to see it.
Sitting doing it at like 6:30 this morning, and I'm like,
slop.
This is a big problem, right? Like everything's being made up by AI. If it's the listing words, the actual paragraphs that you're reading, that's being written by AI.
Now. Yeah.
The photos though are getting manipulated by AI too, and so we've got
really bad like virtual staging, and like you throw it in a normal LIM or like you throw it into ChatGPT, it will change the image. Just that image might have bushes and a couch that doesn't exist and a doorway that wasn't there. And like, it doesn't work in an industry that relies on the veracity of the photo actually
the
representing
photo's got to be real. Like it's got to be a real somebody has to go to the house and take the photos. Period.
Yeah, right.
I want to, as a buyer, I want to know what that living room looks like, and it can't be AI generated. It's got to be a real photo with real stuff in there. Period. Yeah. And I don't see how that changes. Period. Yeah. Just it can't.
Exactly.
It can't.
Well, what's happening is that they're getting manipulated. So the photography part, I think most people understand
the photography,
but now it's getting manipulated, and this virtual staging is taking a door and turning it into a window or turning it into a cabinet. Yeah, and obviously that's misrepresenting the space. Right. And so what we're building is this registry. It has all these benefits that we're talking about, but also has this benefit that you can track the ownership and the provenance of that image. So you can see the original images that were taken by the photographer when they were taken, and then the levels of manipulation, the different versions.
Like Time Machine on a Mac or something where you can kind of dial it back to you have this crazy marketing image that looks beautiful, but you're like, do I really want to go see that on Saturday? Because I don't know if that's real. Yeah. Like, what if you could actually unwind that photo to see the real photo, what it was? Yeah. And then you get the best of both worlds because it was an eye-catching photo. Right. Like that marketing team was doing its job. The photographer did a great job. It created something that grabbed you. But then you as a consumer, you kind of want to know, like, is this total BS? Am I going to waste 2 hours of my life driving up there? Yeah. Or is this actually what I've been looking for 6 months?
It makes sense. Yeah, I mean, so this is you guys, essentially, you're in the market. You're seeing customer demand, changes in the market. This isn't a pivot. This is an expansion of what you guys have been doing. I mean,
natural extension. Yeah. Same ICP, same customer, same everything. It's just what do the photos that are being created need? They need licensing protection. They need licensing opportunities. They need all these things. Like the market is demanding that derivative works be able to be created. Just like Napster was demanding, we want to be able to share music online. I don't want to go to a record store and buy a CD. Like the market is making a demand that we want to be able to manipulate this stuff. But currently there's not a way to do that legally.
Yeah. Got it.
There will be soon.
Yeah. It makes sense. I love it.
Yeah.
So advice for founders as they're thinking through just every aspect of their business. What have you guys learned that are like the most obvious takeaways over the last couple of years?
Don't start Napster.
Strong opinions held loosely. I think that you have to come in with ideas and be willing to fight for them, but then also be willing to learn and understand and change. And I don't think any success that we've had would have happened if we would have just stuck defiantly to our original idea. That doesn't mean that you're not resilient and that you don't keep pressing forward. It just means that you have to, in order for your thing to be worth something, someone needs to want it. And you have to try things, and you go in with an opinion, with a hypothesis, but you have to also be willing for that to be wrong if you're going to be able to make something that's useful. So that'd be my advice.
That's a good one. There's no doubt about it.
Cool. That is pretty key. I think that's actually probably our superpower a bit is the ability. We're both rather opinionated. Imagine that.
No, I'm
You've
not.
created.
No.
You've created a great partnership, though. Damn it, you are.
But just like Matty's saying, the ability to hold that a little loosely, at least enough to be humble enough. I think what really took for me in working with a co-founder who, like, there's lots of different partnership dynamics that can work, right? But we're both pretty strong-willed and driven to make something cool.
Yeah.
The thing that's helped me the most is actually becoming convinced of that this sounds so simple, but we are on the same team. That if Matty is arguing for something, there's probably no one else on the planet who loves Pixlmob more than Matty next to me. Actually, I'm pretty sure you love Pixlmob more than me. But, we're the top
That's why
two.
I have it tattooed.
That's right.
Yeah, he has so many Pixlmob tattoos. It's weird, guys. But beginning to trust that when he's arguing passionately, and my initial reaction is like, you are just being a twit.
Yeah.
There's a voice in the back of my head that's persistent now of like, why is he being a twit? And what am I not seeing? Because this isn't just from nowhere. There is a reason that this matters to Matty. And I mean, he's usually wrong. Like, he's got to come most of the way to me.
Right. Naturally.
But there's always a little bit, at least 1% that, you know. No, and we have a lot of give and take that way of like, he's passionate about an idea, I'm passionate about an idea, and different ways that the company's grown. Almost all of them probably could be traced back to an argument between us.
Yeah.
That we were able to keep our heads, defer a little judgment, hear each other out, and figure out a synthesis.
Yeah, that's huge. I mean, emotions run hot in this business, period. Startups and entrepreneurship, early stage, there's so many ups and downs. It's so difficult. Things can be said that aren't meant, and you've got to manage that. But you're right. When you've got a partner who is as passionate about it as you are, who cares as much as you are, as you do, you've got to listen. And it gets back to the coachability and humility and attitude and aptitude and the basics of what makes entrepreneurs great. And you guys have the ingredients, and we're thrilled to be a part of it. So I think this has been a great conversation. It's been good to have you all out in your studio.
Yeah. Did we introduced you today at Central, didn't we?
Right. We should have done that, right? We're in their studio that I am now a part of. So how about that? Anyway, look, thanks for joining in, Matty and Moses, the founders of Pixlmob, a rocket ship that's taken off. And this is Founderville.vc over and out.